Now that Tony Stark has a piece of the Mysterium, what can he do if he gets a chunk of this new element? Find out how strong this new Mysterium is as Tony Stark tests it on the Avengers. The story starts with Tony Stark and Emma Frost enjoying their honeymoon. Emma is relaxing on the beach, sipping coconut juice, while Tony is learning how to surf, and the instructor's dog even enjoys his company. As they walk back to their room, a random fan took a selfie from afar, and Tony playfully flashes a peace sign. Tony greets the couple next to their room and then returns inside. Emma asks Tony if he is ready to get it on. Emma tosses Tony the Mark Neal stealth suit as Tony suits up. Emma reminds him of the unnecessary risks he is taking. Tony is convinced that the mission will be worth it. As Tony activates stealth mode on his suit, he cautions Emma that she doesn't need to join him on this mission and that he can handle it alone. But Emma reassures Tony that she is fine. And by going on the mission with him, all that Emma has to do is wear a pair of glasses Tony made and stay at the room. These glasses will allow Emma to see what Tony sees inside the Mark Neal armor. Tony takes flight and heads towards Krakow. Their honeymoon was in Hawaii, so it was conveniently nearby. Tony went underwater because he couldn't hide his rocket boosters while in stealth mode and flying. Going underwater seems like the right way to continue. Tony emerged from the water and spotted a group of Stark Sentinels guarding the Krakowan island. Now in stealth mode, Tony climbed a flight of stairs leading to the White Palace. Emma lived at the top of that structure, she said. Emma explained they took a modest amount of metal that Forge was supposed to turn into gifts. If the Mysterium hadn't been confiscated yet, it should be in her walk-in closets. Tony encountered some Orcish troops with an ape who was leading them and commanding them to stay alert. Tony entered Emma's room as per her instructions to access the corridor. He was amazed by all the things Emma had in her room. Emma directed him to look for a trunk with white thigh-high boots on top, which Tony easily found. But Tony did not know the ape was following him. Even in stealth mode, the ape sensed Tony and attacked him, flipping him to the other side of the room. The ape revealed that Fei Long had found a way to detect the new element and demanded Tony to reveal Emma's location. Tony tried to humor the ape, which only made it angrier. The ape got a hold of Tony and mentioned that Fei Long had promised them that Tony was utterly defeated. But from the looks of it, Tony was playing possum. Tony continued to insult the ape as he used his powers to free himself. The two continued to fight and the ape threw a sofa at Tony, which Tony easily cut into two. The ape began to look helpless against Tony, and finally, Tony blasted the ceiling, causing debris to fall on the ape. Tony extended his hand to save the ape's life, but the ape rejected it. And in the next scene, the ape was buried in debris and he has lost his life. Tony then proceeded to check the trunk and found that the Mysterium was still intact. He also found a photo album of Emma and her kids, which Emma told him to leave behind. Tony carried the trunk and activated his stealth mode again as he walked toward the exit. As he left, a mysterious man lurked in the shadows, monitoring Tony. Tony then flew back to Hawaii. Back at the Hellfire Club, Tony entered a hidden room behind some adult toys. Inside, there was a machine that Tony used to shape the Mysterium into a cane. But before trusting this with his life, Tony wanted to test this new metal. First, Tony visited Captain Marvel and challenged her to bend the cane. However, Carol couldn't even make it budge a little. She wondered what it was all about, and Tony playfully replied, "The future." Next, Tony went to see Doctor Strange, the Sorcerer Supreme, to continue his experiment. Doctor Strange cast a spell that was supposed to atomize the cane, but failed. Strange warned Tony to be cautious with the material because he believed Tony did not fully understand what it was. Tony thanked Strange for his time and for safely keeping Emma's album. Lastly, Tony summoned Spider-Man with an electro signal. Spider-Man swung by and expressed his condolences about Tony's bank accounts. Tony asked Spider-Man if he could perform an experiment and had him close his eyes. Tony made sure that Spider-Man's eyes were closed, and then struck Spider-Man on the shin with a cane. Spider-Man got angry at first, then he started wondering why his spider sense hadn't warned him of the attack. He questioned what the cane was, and Tony revealed it was a weapon. A group of Stark Sentinels then flew by, and Spider-Man asked if Tony planned to use it against them. Tony confirmed it, but he said it would be at a time and a place of his choosing. Spider-Man jokingly asked if he'd be invited, and Tony replied with a yes. He also mentioned that everyone will recognize his signal, and anyone harmed by Fei Long and Orcish will be avenged. And with that, the comic comes to an end. The Mysterium is definitely something else. Imagine what Iron Man can do if he can build an armor with this new element. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out when the next episode drops. This is Carl, and see you in the next one.